feeling wide awake, staring at the ceiling, maybe glancing at the clock again, only to see those glowing numbers confirm it's around 3 a.m. If this sounds familiar, you are absolutely not alone. It's a frustrating reality for so many people, especially as we get a little older. You might wonder, why me, why this time? It feels like your body has some secret alarm clock set for the darkest part of the night, just to mess with you. This isn't just inconvenient. Losing precious sleep night after night can leave you feeling tired, irritable, and just not quite yourself during the day. It can impact everything from your energy levels to your memory, and even how you feel emotionally. You've probably tried everything you can think of, counting sheep, reading a book, maybe even getting up for a bit. But that persistent early waking just keeps happening. You might blame it on stress, or just accept it as part of getting older. But the truth is, the answer might be more surprising than you think. It's not always just one big thing. Often, it's a combination of smaller, sometimes overlooked, factors. In this video, we're going to uncover some of the most common, and perhaps surprising, reasons why you keep waking up at that dreaded hour, and more importantly, what simple, practical steps you can take to start sleeping through the night more consistently. We'll look at things you might be doing or habits you have that could be unknowingly contributing to this pattern. And trust me, some of the solutions we'll discuss are much simpler than you might imagine. So, please, watch right to the very end, because I'll share something that could truly surprise you and potentially make a real difference in helping you reclaim your peaceful night's sleep. Let's dive into some of the things that might be happening when that 3 a.m. wake-up call arrives. One of the first things to understand is how our internal body clock, our circadian rhythm, naturally changes a bit as we age. It's a completely normal part of life, not a flaw. Think of your body clock as a complex timepiece that regulates when you feel sleepy and when you feel alert. For younger people, this clock often keeps them asleep more solidly until later in the morning. As we get older, this clock can sometimes shift, leading to going to bed earlier and also potentially waking up earlier. This isn't the only reason for the 3 a.m. wake-up, but it's a foundational piece of the puzzle. Our sleep architecture also changes. We tend to spend less time in deep, restorative sleep and more time in lighter stages, which means we're more easily roused by disturbances. So, when you wake up at 3 a.m., it might not be a sign that something is drastically wrong, but rather that you've transitioned into a lighter stage of sleep, and something else is nudging you fully awake. Understanding this can help reduce the panic or frustration when it happens. It's less about, oh no, I'm awake again, and more about, okay, my body is in a lighter cycle. What might be triggering me now? Beyond the natural shifts, environmental factors in your bedroom play a huge, often underestimated, role. Is your bedroom truly dark? I mean, really dark. Even small sources of light, a digital clock display, a light under the door, streetlights outside, can register with your brain and subtly signal that it's time to wake up, especially when you're in a lighter sleep stage. Our brains are incredibly sensitive to light, interpreting it as a cue for daytime. Making your bedroom as dark as possible can make a significant difference. Think about investing in blackout curtains or blinds. Cover up any glowing electronics or turn them to face away from the bed. Even the light from a phone screen, if you check it when you wake up, can make it harder to fall back asleep. Noise is another major culprit. It might not be a sudden loud bang that wakes you, but consistent, lower-level noise, traffic, a partner snoring, even the hum of an appliance can pull you out of a lighter sleep. Creating a quiet sanctuary is key. This might mean using earplugs, which take a little getting used to, but can be incredibly effective. Or, you could try a white noise machine or a fan. Consistent, soothing sound can mask those sudden noises that jolt you awake. And then there's temperature. Have you ever woken up feeling too hot or too cold? Your body regulates its temperature during sleep, and being uncomfortable can easily disrupt it. Most sleep experts agree that a cooler room is better for sleep. Find a temperature that feels comfortably cool for you, perhaps slightly cooler than you keep your house during the day. Good bedding that helps regulate temperature, like cotton sheets, can also make a difference. Now, let's talk about something many of us do, almost instinctively. When we wake up at 3 a.m., we check the clock. You look at the time, maybe calculate how much sleep you've lost, or how little time you have left before the alarm goes off. And instantly, a wave of anxiety washes over you. Your heart rate might pick up. Your mind starts racing. And suddenly, you're wide awake and stressed about being awake. This act of clock watching is incredibly counterproductive. It reinforces the negative association with that time and ramps up your stress hormones, making it much harder to drift back to sleep. One of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do is turn your clock around or put it out of sight. If you need an alarm, use your phone but place it face down or across the room. Knowing the exact time you've woken up serves no helpful purpose in that moment and usually just makes things worse. By removing the clock, you remove that immediate source of anxiety and allow your mind to focus on relaxing and falling back asleep, rather than fixating on the lost hours. These environmental factors and the simple habit of clock watching are often the first things to address because they are relatively easy to change and can have a noticeable impact on those lighter sleep stages where you are most vulnerable to waking. But there's more to the story. What you put into your body, and when, also plays a significant role in those early morning hours. Building on the idea that what we do during the day impacts our night, let's talk about what you eat and drink, and particularly the timing of it. That evening cup of tea, or maybe a little treat after dinner. It might seem harmless, but certain things can absolutely disrupt your sleep in the early hours. Caffeine, for example, isn't just in coffee. It's in many teas, chocolate, and even some soft drinks. Caffeine has a long half-life, meaning it stays in your system and continues to have stimulating effects for hours after you consume it. That 4 p.m. coffee or even an after-dinner mint containing chocolate could still be circulating at 3 a.m., keeping your brain more alert than it needs to be. Try cutting off caffeine intake earlier in the day, perhaps after lunchtime. See if that makes a difference. Alcohol is another big one, and it's a bit sneaky. Many people think a glass of wine or a nightcap helps them fall asleep, and it might initially make you feel drowsy. However, as your body processes the alcohol later in the night, it actually disrupts your sleep architecture. It can prevent you from getting into that crucial deep sleep and often causes rebound awakenings in the early morning as its sedative effects wear off and your body works to eliminate it. So, that glass of wine with dinner or in the evening could very well be the reason you find yourself wide awake a few hours later. What about food? Eating a large, heavy meal close to bedtime can also be problematic. Your digestive system has to work hard to process that food, and lying down with a full stomach can lead to discomfort, indigestion, or heartburn, any of which can easily wake you up. Spicy foods are notorious for this. Try to finish eating your main meal at least 2 or 3 hours before you plan to go to bed. If you absolutely need a snack later on, make it something small and easy to digest, like a few nuts or a banana. Speaking of food, here's something that many people don't connect to their 3 a.m. awakenings. And this might be part of that shocking answer I mentioned earlier, your blood sugar levels. Throughout the night, your body works to keep your blood sugar stable. If your blood sugar drops too low during the night, a state called nocturnal hypoglycemia, your body releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol to raise it back up. These hormones are designed to wake you up, and they do a very effective job of it. This can happen if you haven't eaten enough during the day, if you've had a large gap between your last meal and bedtime, or if your diet overall is high in refined carbohydrates and sugar, causing your blood sugar to spike and then crash. Conversely, for people with diabetes, high blood sugar overnight can also disrupt sleep, often leading to needing to use the bathroom frequently. Paying attention to balanced meals during the day And avoiding sugary snacks or large meals right before bed can help stabilize your blood sugar throughout the night, potentially preventing those hormone surges that jolt you awake. Sometimes, a very small, balanced snack about an hour before bed, something with a little protein and healthy fat, like a few almonds or a small piece of cheese, can help keep blood sugar steady for some people. But it's worth experimenting carefully and potentially discussing with a healthcare provider if you have diabetes or other health conditions. Beyond diet, your physical activity level and its timing can also play a role. Regular exercise is fantastic for sleep quality overall. It helps reduce stress and fatigue, making it easier to fall and stay asleep. However, intense exercise too close to bedtime can be stimulating. It raises your heart rate, body temperature, and adrenaline levels, which is the opposite of what you want when you're trying to wind down. Aim to finish any vigorous workouts at least 2 or 3 hours before you go to bed. Gentle activities like a leisurely stroll or some stretching or yoga in the evening can actually be very beneficial for sleep. And something often overlooked, especially as we get older, is the impact of medication. Many common prescription and over-the-counter medications can interfere with sleep. Things like blood pressure medications, some antidepressants, corticosteroids, pain relievers containing caffeine, and even decongestants can disrupt sleep patterns or cause awakenings. If you suspect your medication might be affecting your sleep, it's really important to talk to your doctor. Don't stop taking anything on your own, but have a conversation about the timing of your dose or if there are alternative options. They can help you figure out if this is a factor and what might be done. So we've talked about how our body clocks shift, the importance of a dark, quiet, cool room, the trap of watching the clock, how caffeine, alcohol, and late meals affect us, the surprising impact of blood sugar, the timing of exercise, and how medication can interfere. But what happens in your mind, especially when you wake up, can be just as powerful as these physical factors. Let's delve a little deeper into that feeling of waking up. We talked about the environment and what you consume. But what about the mental side of things? Often, when we wake up at 3 a.m., our minds immediately jump into gear. We start thinking about everything, the bills that need paying, that slightly awkward conversation you had, worries about your health, or simply stressing about the fact that you're awake again. This mental chatter is a massive sleep disruptor. Your brain goes from a resting state to being wide awake and actively problem-solving or worrying. This rush of thoughts releases stress hormones like cortisol, which, as we mentioned before in the context of blood sugar, are designed to make you alert and ready for action. Definitely not ready to fall back asleep. Managing this mental aspect is crucial. One way to approach this is to understand that everyone wakes up briefly during the night. It's natural to cycle through different sleep stages. The key is to be able to fall back asleep quickly. If you wake up and your mind immediately starts racing, resist the urge to engage with those thoughts. Don't get out a notebook to write down your worries or start planning your day. That signals to your brain that it's time to be active. If you find yourself awake and unable to fall back asleep after about 15 or 20 minutes, it's often more helpful to get out of bed briefly. This might seem counterintuitive, but lying in bed feeling frustrated and wide awake can create a negative association with your bed. Your bed becomes a place of wakefulness and anxiety, not rest. Get up. Go to another room if possible. And do something quiet and calming in dim light. Read a physical book not on a screen. Listen to soft music or a podcast. Or do some gentle stretching. The key is to avoid anything stimulating. No screens. No bright lights. No engaging tasks. Stay up until you genuinely feel sleepy again. And then return to bed. This helps reinforce the connection between your bed and sleepiness. Another potentially eye-opening perspective is to consider the link between waking up and needing to use the bathroom. Many people report waking up at 3 a.m. and then realizing they need to go. It's easy to assume that a full bladder is the reason you woke up. However, it's often the other way around. You've woken up for one of the other reasons we've discussed: a shift in sleep cycle, a noise, a stray thought, and then you notice the signal from your bladder. If you consistently wake up needing to go, certainly make sure you're not drinking excessive fluids right before bed, but also consider whether another underlying sleep disruptor is the primary cause of your awakening. Of course, if frequent nighttime urination is a persistent problem, it's always wise to discuss it with your doctor to rule out medical causes. Sleep apnea is another potential underlying issue that can cause repeated awakenings, often without you even being aware of it. With sleep apnea, breathing repeatedly stops and starts during the night, causing your brain to briefly rouse you to resume breathing, while you might not remember waking up. This fragmented sleep is incredibly disruptive. If you snore loudly, wake up gasping for air, or feel excessively tired during the day despite spending enough time in bed, it's important to talk to your doctor about being evaluated for sleep apnea or other sleep disorders. Beyond these specific issues, the overall stress in your life, both physical and emotional, plays a huge role in sleep quality at any age, but particularly as we get older. Learning effective stress management techniques during the day can have a profound impact on your nights. This doesn't mean eliminating stress entirely, which isn't realistic, but rather developing healthy ways to cope with it. This could involve mindfulness or meditation practice, spending time in nature, engaging in hobbies you enjoy, regular gentle exercise, or talking to a trusted friend or family member. The calmer your mind is during the day, the more likely it is to settle down at night. And finally, cultivate a consistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up around the same time each day, even on weekends, helps regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle. This consistency is incredibly powerful in training your body when it's time to be asleep and when it's time to be awake, reducing the likelihood of those early morning awakenings. While it can be tempting to sleep in on days you didn't sleep well, sticking to your schedule as much as possible is better in the long run for establishing a healthy rhythm. So, we've covered quite a bit about those pesky 3 a.m. awakenings. We talked about how the body's natural sleep patterns change with age, making lighter sleep more common, and how environmental factors like light, noise, and temperature in your bedroom can easily pull you out of sleep. We looked at the negative cycle of checking the clock and how it ramps up anxiety. We discussed the impact of what you eat and drink, particularly caffeine, alcohol, late meals, and even the surprising connection to blood sugar levels. We considered the timing of exercise and the potential influence of medications, and we just explored the crucial role of your mindset, managing stress, and the importance of not letting that early wake-up become a source of anxiety itself, perhaps by getting out of bed briefly, if needed. We also touched on considering underlying issues like sleep apnea or frequent nighttime urination and talking to your doctor. It might feel like a lot of different factors, and it's true. Often it's not just one simple thing causing you to wake up, but the encouraging news is that many of these contributing factors are things you have some control over. You don't have to tackle everything at once. Start with one or two things that resonated most with you today. Maybe it's finally getting those blackout curtains, committing to finishing your dinner earlier, or simply deciding you will not look at the clock the next time you wake up. Small, consistent changes really can add up and make a significant difference over time in helping you sleep more soundly and reducing those frustrating early morning awakenings. Remember, improving sleep is often a journey, not a quick fix. Be patient and kind to yourself as you try these different approaches. Some things might work wonders for you, while others might not make much difference. And that's okay. Keep experimenting, keep adjusting, and listen to your body. Don't let the occasional early wake-up turn into a source of major stress. Instead, focus on creating the best possible conditions for sleep and developing strategies to help you fall back asleep if you do wake up. I truly hope that exploring these different possibilities has given you some new insights and practical ideas to try. It's empowering to understand the potential reasons behind why you might be waking up and to know that there are steps you can take. I'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts. Have you experienced any of these issues? Do you have a tip that has really helped you sleep better? Please share your experiences and insights in the comments section below. Your wisdom could help someone else in our community. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It signals to YouTube that this is valuable content and helps more people who are struggling with sleep find it. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. We share lots of practical tips and information focused on helping you navigate this wonderful stage of life with energy, health, and happiness. Don't miss out on future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, reclaiming your sleep is a vital part of living well. Keep exploring, keep trying, and most importantly, live your best life at every age.